Hey all of you, welcome back once again. In the last video we have built our checkbox component. In this video we're going to start working on our next component. So here we are in the layout page, and let's come here. Let's come back to the component. This is the one we have worked in the last video. Now we have to work on the other component. So let's start working on a filter component. Click on that. Here we are in the filter component, and this is one of the biggest component we have in our application because we have to filter the data, we have to build the logic for filtration, so all of the things. So we're going to build the entire component with the functionality. So first we have to import couple of things from React: use state, use effect, and that's coming from React. Then we have to import the image, that's coming from Next.js. Then we have to import the images. Then we have to import the CSS file. Then we have to build our component, filter component, and this will receive couple of props. So the first will be the active select active. Then we'll say set image copy, set all images, allow old image, and these are the props we're going to receive in the component. So all we have to do is to simply pass the component and it will work fine. So just work along with me, everything will make sense. Then we have to take a variable called search, set search, it's going to be an empty string. Take another variable called toggle, set toggle to empty, initially it will be false. We'll take a variable called down search, and initially it will be our search value. Come here, we have to take the template search function. We'll take a on handle search value, and we have to take a variable called filter image. We have to get all the images, and on that we have to run this filter method, and we want to filter the images based on the owner address because we're going to provide the owner address in the filter and we're going to filter that. So we'll say owner.to lowercase includes value.to lowercase. So that's the simple logic we have built. This function will simply allow us to filter the entire images based on the owner address we'll provide, and when we'll provide the address it will turn it to a lowercase and then it will try to match. So that's the simple logic we have here. Come here, we have to build another if statement. We'll say if filtered image length is equal to 0, means set all the image copy. Filter image length is 0, then we have to set all image value to image copy. Else we have to say set all images to filter image, means we have something in the filter image and that's what we have to send. So looks fine. Then we have to close this function. Come down, we have to take another function called on clear search. In this we have to take if all images dot length and the image copy dot length means exist, then we'll take this set all images and we'll set the value to image copy. So that's the on clear. Then we'll come down, we'll take another variable, we'll take this use effect, and in that we have to simply call this. We'll say const timer, because when someone will remove and clear our input field we have to run this one. So we'll say set timeout, set search, and we have to pass the simply this debound search and time 1 second, and is going to return the clear timeout, and it will take this particular value because we don't want to run this at the time of page reloads. Obviously we want, but we also want to execute this on the base of the whenever there is any changes in the debug search. So that's that one use effect. Come down here, we have to take a use effect, and here we'll take set all images to old images, because at the first time when the page we reload we have to provide some sort of data into our set all images. So it's going to be an old image, and we'll say set all image copy to old image, and we'll say if search, if there is a search, then we have to call this on handle search function, and in that we have to simply pass the search. Else we have to say on clear function, we have to call it. So this will not filter the data, and we have to simply pass the search, because when there is a changes in the search input field we have to execute this particular use effect. So that looks fine. Now we have to take a variable called filtered, and here we have to assign the filter value, because we'll have a drop down, we'll say update and old and recent one. So that's the variable we have to define. So we'll say, let's say name is going to be old image, and the second one will be the new, you can type a recent image. So this is the filter variable we have taken. Now we have to come here, we have to take a use effect. We'll take this use effect. If active select equal to old image, then we have to display the normal image we are getting from the API, and that will say old image. But if it's recent, otherwise we have to display this one. We have to reverse it. If it's not the old, then we have to reverse it, so it will display the new listed images. And this is the exact logic we have followed in an NFT marketplace. Okay, so that's why I'm going a little faster here. And then we have to simply close this to active state. So whenever there is a change in the active state, we have to call this function. Looks fine. Now we have to simply work on our JSX. So we'll return that one. We'll take a div. It will have a class style filter, and it will have a div called style filter box. It will have a image. We'll display the search icon, width 20, height 20, and here we have to take the input field. It will have a type text. Then we have to display the placeholder search address. Then we'll display on change function, and on the on change function we have to call this hook we have created. In that we have to pass the value. Then we have to take the value and simply pass to a sign. Then we have to simply close this one, close the div. Now we have to take a div. It will have a class style filter. The first filter we have taken with the capital one, the second we have taken for the small one, because this is the global one and this is the internal one. So I'm going with this one. You can give a different name, it's totally up to you. And it will have an on click function. We'll say toggle. If it's true, then we have to call this set toggle false, otherwise we have to say true. So it looks fine. Now we have to come here, we have to take a div. It will have a class called filter title, and here we'll take a h4. We'll say active state, and down here we'll take the image of the arrow down and assign a width and height. Then we have to simply close the div, and now we have to display the menus. So we'll say toggle. If toggle is true, then we want to display this component. So we'll take a div. It will have a class called filter box. In that we will take a dynamic block. So we'll have the filters, the array. We're going to simply loop over it and render that. We'll say p key I once, and we'll say set active. So we'll add a on click function on that. So whenever someone will click on the drop down menu, it will set the update the value. So we'll say set active select to element.name, and then we have to simply close this dynamic block. We have to display the name of the dynamic block and then close it. So now we have to close the div. Looks fine. Close this one, close the div, and now we are done with this entire component. So now we have to simply export the filter component. So it looks pretty fine. So I believe that everything is making sense to all of you guys, that what we have done. First we have imported the hooks, then we have received the props. So these are the important hooks we have imported. Then we have imported the props. Then these are the variables we have taken. Then we have the very first function called on handle search. So when someone will try to put something in our input field and try to search, we are taking the address of that user and converting into a lowercase, and then we are filtering out the data. So that's what we are doing here on the on handle search, and this is the clear. So this will clear our input field and it will keep updating. Then we have this use effect. So whenever there is some changes in the input text, this is going to be call. And here we have the use effect for the old and recent one, and here we have the filter data, and this is the for managing the active state, and this is the entire JSX we have written. This is the first box and this is the second component we have. Things are making sense to all of you guys. Now come back here and let's start working on the CSS. Margin block to RAM, display grid template column, 3 FR 1 FR, gap to RAM. Let's target the filter box, display flex, align item center, gap 1 RAM, background color, padding 1 RAM, border radius 0.5 RAM. Come down, we'll target the filter box input, With 100% background color, this one will have the outline none, border 0, color white. Come down, we'll target the filter, position relative, padding 1 ram 0, background color this will have the border radius 0.5 ram, cursor pointer. Come down, we'll take the filter title, display flex, align item center, justify content space between, padding 0.1 ram. We'll target the filter box, position absolute, width 85%, background color our color, padding 1 ram, border radius 0.5 ram, margin top 1 ram, margin top 2 ram, z index 1 and we'll come down, we'll take the filter box p, cursor pointer, let's add a media query, let's say 800 pixels, filter, grid template column 2fr 1fr. Let's take the second media query, 600 pixels, filter, grid template column 1fr, gap 0.5 ram. Let's take a 400 pixels, filter, grid gap 0.5 ram, grid template column 1fr and close that one. So this is the entire media query we have written for the filter components. Looks pretty fine. Hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. So this is the one we have. Close this one, close this one, close this one, close this one, and we have the title, we have the box, we have box, and this is the media query we have written for the filter components. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we are done with this. Come back here, and now we have to simply import the component. So we are done with this filter one. Let's import that one. We'll say filter, and this component we're going to call right above the cart component. So let's come here, and we're going to take this p tag and we'll say filter. Okay okay, so simply copy this one, and that's what I have to pass here, filter. Let's come here, we have to take the component and close it, and that's the only thing we have to do. Save it, come back to the browser, and here you can see we are getting this error message because we don't have all of these props, but we are calling this props in our component, set all props in function. So that's why we are getting this error, and that's a very easy fix. For the time being, we'll try to simply commit all of this use hook. So what we can do is come back here, let's go into the filter component, and we have these use hooks. We have to simply comment this one, select and comment. This is the one I have, and this is the one I have. Simply comment this one, and this will fix the issue. Save it, reload the browser, and here we have the filter. It looks absolutely beautiful. Anybody can paste the address of the user, and they can filter the data, the images. You can click, and they will have this old images and recent images. Right now it will not work because we have commit, and you can see it's throwing us an error because we don't have those hook. But our UI is looking fine. When we'll get the actual data from the contract, all we have to do is to feed the data, and we'll have the entire functionality. So the filter is working fine. So we have done with this checkbox, button, logo. So let's close this one. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have built this filter component. If you have encountered any error, try to rewatch and try to figure it out that what we have done, and try to look at the CSS, the styling we have applied. That will teach you a lot of things. So let's move to the next video.